You said this 57 years has been a wigwash.
Absolutely.
But some people would disagree, or hogwash rather. Some people would disagree with you on that note. Look, we may have had our challenges, but we've made some movement.
Well, I will give it to people who will disagree with me. It's a process. Everybody can't think alike. But you need to go out there in the streets to know how far the economy or the Nigerian state as a state has satisfied the yearnings of our people. What we need is to accept the reality that the poor people are getting poorer, and a very, very infinitesimal percentage are getting richer, and the system continues to deteriorate. Go outside and look at the roads. Infrastructural decay every day. Instead of us to be improving, infrastructure keeps deteriorating. Why? It is because of the system. We need to think out of the box. We need to think out of the present system. What exactly is wrong with the system? We need to think out of the constitution. The system is clearly lopsided. What we are running is a unitary federal system. We are not running is
there anything like that in political science?
That's what we have created. Nigeria has created its own peculiar system of
Senator, you were talking about the solutions that we need to be looking at.
The right of a citizen of Nigeria. That's why we don't regard ourselves as a nation yet, because citizens' rights are not exhibited in the constitution. In other nations, the citizen can take the nation to court to exercise their right to education.
Well, Nigerian can sue the government.
It is not in our constitution. Under the fundamental rights, they are not justiciable. You cannot take government to court. And that is a deficiency. The National Assembly section 44, subsection 3, they must look at it and make Nigerians feel as part of this nation. So that where in South Africa it is some school children took the government to court for not giving them education. And the judge said you must give them education. How can we have 14.4 million children out of school and nobody is saying send these children to school?
You think there's no activity of citizens? Citizens are not active in Nigeria. Is that what you're saying?
Their rights are not specified. Their rights are not saying you must do this for your citizen. You must provide education for your citizen. They must have right to health services. You must give them accommodation.
You served in government at some point. I mean, I know some of these challenges were there before you got into government. I mean, what exactly? I've lived all my life hearing these problems over and over. A lot of half of my life as a Nigerian I spent with military rule, and a lot of people will say the military incursions were in fact a major problem that we've had.
Let me give you an instance. In this country, I work with Jakonde. Jakonde specifically constructed 10,000 units of houses in 4 years. Every child was compelled to go to school. They would give them uniform, they would give them shoes, they would give them books, they would give them everything. That is the sort of welfare state that we want Nigeria to be.
Is there a leadership problem that you see?
No, it is all of us believing that citizens don't matter. Okay. Whether you go to school or not, it doesn't matter to government.
In a lot of parts of this country, there are issues of security. In the southeast, there are some issues. In the south-south, there are issues of security. Let me quickly ask the retired military officer who joins us now from our Abuja studio, retired Captain Bala Jibril. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Many thanks for coming on the program tonight. A lot of issues, and one major role of government is securing the lives and property of its citizens. Where do we start from? If you look at this 57 years of journey, in assuring that citizens' lives will be protected, where do you think we can start from?
A quick correction, please. I'm not an ex-military captain. I am a civil aviation pilot, and as such, I won't be seen as that. You are talking about how to go on to the future. Yes, a lot of things had gone wrong. Sadly, 57 years of existence as a nation is not long enough to take some on the nation, but it's short enough to define where we are heading to. We had seen it be rough. Things are coming to better in the last few years of the current administration. So I would say if what has been done so far in terms of the economy, in terms of the fight against corruption and the insecurity we find ourselves, if this will continue, it will create an enabling environment for every other thing to flourish. One thing that I'm sure will be critical is getting our resources plowed into the right channels. And that's what this administration, I think, is definitely doing.
Do you agree with those, for example, who says our major problem is leadership, that leadership failure has been the bane of the society? And if that's the case, how do we fix leadership problems?
Leadership, sure, is an issue. And for the first time in a long time, we found leadership that is responsive, that is responsible, and that is doing exactly what it ought to be done all these previous years that have passed by. So I think we would need to really rally around what the present government is doing and give them support. We know corruption is fighting back. When it fights back, it fights dirty. You hear all sorts of things that were never conceived by the government, but the social media, for the freedom of people to sit in their rooms or somewhere under a tree to start writing things, they say all sorts of things that were not exactly what is the case on ground. So if we put ourselves first, nation first, I mean, and us as the second a person, then we'll go where we want to go.
All right. Let's round up the conversation now because we're out of time, really. Mr. Ekechi, I'll come to you then. The senator will give his closing remarks on the program. From here now, where do we go from? Just in a few seconds.
You see, the word restructuring is all-encompassing. We must accept that we need a structure that is not working, a foundation that is defective. You need to take a second look at that foundation. And it's all in restructuring. Even system change, you can also find it in restructuring. We only need to address our problems. I like what distinguished senator has raised here. The issue of Chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution, which is not justiciable. Right. A whole lot of items are the education, health, but you can't go to court. Right. Some of those issues are what you call constitutional impediments to development. Right, so we need to restructure to bring in those issues.
Senator, you're going to give us a last word. And if you are the president today, how would you fix Nigeria? Just in 30 seconds.
Simple. Change Section 80 of the Constitution, which says there should be no saving. All the governors went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said there was no provision for savings. How can you have a country without savings? How can transmission electricity be a federal issue? How can labor be a federal issue?
So essentially, our constitution, we need a change.
To at least restructure the exclusive legislative list, water it down, so that we add more responsibility to the state. That's why we have so many people going on strike. In so many countries, labor is a state matter.
We need to anchor at that point, Senator Adeshaye Ogunleye, former Minister of Works. Always a pleasure having you. You're very much experienced on the field. And Mr. Ikechukwu Ikeji, thank you so much. Captain Balaji, thank you so much for your thoughts on the program. And that's how far we can go on the program today. Many thanks, everyone. I'm Sean Akimbaloye. Bye for now.